Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast show for the average Joe, the Wrestling Diaries. I'm your host, Mitchell Roulane. Find out today about more struggles from new people day to day to day to day to day to day. Check us out on YouTube for the video content. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell right there. And for the audio content, the audio platforms, go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and a host of other ones that have audio podcasts that we are on. Leave us a review, send links, do all that wonderful, awesome, cool stuff. Today, I have a pal of mine that I was in, I guess, kind of like a little media business success school with. Ladies and gentlemen, the Dark Lord, Beelzebub, the devil, Lucifer himself is on the show. Lucifer Constantine, ladies and gentlemen.
Yo, right?
What's up, devil?
I'm Ozzy Osbourne in the background.
Hell yeah. What is up, my man? Anybody wondering too, if you watch the video of this, you see in the background, it says Spliff Talk. So my boy here does his own podcast up in, where you at, Jersey? Or are you in New Hampshire?
Jersey.
Up in Jersey, does Spliff Talk. He gets people come on, they smoke, obviously, like he's doing right now, and they just talk about life and shoot the shit like we're about to do on this episode. What is up, my friend Lucifer?
What's up, Mitchell? Man.
All my friends at church are going to be like, I can't believe he had them on there. It's Lucifer. Hey. Well, so let me get right into that. So obviously people listening to this are probably going to wonder, is Lucifer, was that your birth name? Did your parents name you after the devil?
No, they did not.
Okay. So tell the origin story of how this name came to be.
Okay. So I'm going to try my best to summarize it because I'm naturally a very analytical person, so I put a lot of thought into my name before I ever chose it. Mm-hmm. But long story short, I grew up in a very strict religious Christian home, studied the Bible most of my life, and studied other religions and beliefs as well. But the name Lucifer has always been attractive to me because of his story, the whole thing between him betraying God and becoming the devil. Mm-hmm. And over the years, I just started to learn more about belief. And in my opinion, and based off my own research, I don't believe in hell, and I don't believe that the devil exists. Mm-hmm. I don't believe in what other people believe as evil. I feel like there's a spectrum of that. And then, but my name, so I chose the name Lucifer mostly because I relate to the name so well. Mm-hmm. On top of the fact that it's connected to my astrology signs. There's some coincidences with my astrology sign and the concept of Lucifer. And then the last name Constantine was because the Emperor Constantine, back when Christianity was starting to be developed in Rome and chosen as the main religion, he's kind of like the starter of it all, So yeah. I kind of wanted to choose that name to be to have it mean for me that I've, awoken from religious blindness and I want to teach other people what I've learned. And so that's why I chose both of those names. And ironically enough, my birth name, so I studied numerology, and about how I do numbers for people and do readings for them.
Yeah.
Right. So my birth name, when you add certain vowels, my soul number adds up to the master number 44. And ironically enough, my name, Lucifer Wolf Constantine, also adds up to the master number 44. So that's a pretty strong connection there.
For people that are probably scratching their head, give a quick detail on what the master number 44 is.
All right. So in numerology, is basically the study that everything in the world is calculated by equation and by numbers, including your name and your personality. So there are originally 9 numbers, 1 through 9, right? Those are the numbers that can always be deduced from a 2-digit or a 3-digit number. For example, 1 for 10, 1 plus 0 is 1. 11, 1 plus 1 is 2, and so on and so forth. And so old numbers always come down to 1 through 9. Master numbers are special because they have a stronger vibration. So the 4 master numbers are 11, 22, 33, and 44. 44 is the master number of power. So when you deduce that, it goes down to 8. 4 plus 4 is 8, right? So 8 is the number of power. 44 is a stronger vibration of that. So it signifies that I'm a very ambitious person. I'm someone who has an entrepreneurial mindset. I'm someone who tries his best to build things with a strong foundation, you know? So it's technically the most powerful master number out of all the master numbers because it's the last one.
Nice. Cool. I didn't even know that myself. Well, maybe I did and I just forgot, but yeah. Very informative. So let me, on the name, back to your name again though, Lucifer Constantine. Now you went and got this legally changed, like at the courthouse and stuff? So it's like legally your
I went through the whole court process. I paid for the paperwork for it to be submitted. I went to court, got my name changed, had to go through other processes where I had to go send paperwork to all the important state offices so that they can change my social, they can change my passport, everything.
That's really cool. I bet for you, based on the concept of why you wanted to change it, it seemed probably at the time after you finally got it done, I imagine it felt like a pretty liberating thing. You know, like you're taking a new journey. You're creating a new identity for yourself, something that makes you happier. So that's good. What did your when you did this? What did your family, who are very religious and Pentecostal and stuff, what was their reaction to this? Was it were they super mad at you, or some of them be like, "Oh, we'll do whatever you want"?
My mother was pissed.
I bet
she was very upset, very upset. You know, because she's a minister, so she preaches.
Oh wow,
she goes everywhere. You know, so to her it felt like an insult.
Right.
You know, but funny enough, my father, who I'm actually named after with my birth name, he was indifferent towards it.
Okay, so like he wasn't necessarily cool with it, but then he also wasn't like, oh.
Yeah, like he probably was upset a little bit, but he didn't really show it. He was just like,
right. He was just like, oh, whatever. Just
you know. And then the rest of my family and friends, everybody that I grew up with, they were like, some were like indifferent, others were like, why? Others were more understanding. You know, most of my family members that I grow up with, they still call me Junior, you know, which I don't mind. As far as everybody else, like outside of my family circle, most of my friends are pretty cool with it. They call me by that name. Yeah. And then only like 1 or 2 don't want to call me by that name.
Yeah.
At all.
Does that bother you, or are you just like, oh, whatever?
I'm indifferent towards it, but at the same time, like I've had conversations with them about it.
I mean, it is your name. It's legally binding. It's legally your name.
You know, and no matter how much I've explained it to them, like I've explained it to them in more detail because, like I said, I put a lot of thought into it. Like I've been wanting to change my name since I was 16. I didn't change it until 2019. So
how old were you when that was that?
So I changed my name when I was 21 right now. So I was 24, 25.
Okay. So so this wasn't that for some reason I was thinking that you did this a minute ago, but it actually wasn't that long ago. Just a couple years ago. Okay.
Yeah, about 3-4 years ago.
Can I ask, what was your original birth name, if I can ask that?
My original birth name was just a typical Christian name with the last name Lopez.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't want to tell me what the first one is?
No, because I have things against that name. Mostly due to my issues with my father. So,
okay, gotcha.
You know, and I'm all about, I believe that your name has power. So like, speaking a name gives it more energy, and I don't.
Yeah, I mean, your name.
I don't really like repeating my birth name unless I really have to.
Sure. I mean, your name is your identity, right? So
right, and
it represents you.
that's the thing that people don't understand really when I explain it to them is that my birth name was an identity that I never associated myself with naturally. Right. Like I never really liked my name. No one could ever pronounce it right, you know, and then I didn't want to be like my father. So, you know, there was just so many things.
Well, I can't wait for you to come and visit me here in Alabama so I can bring you to church with me and introduce you to everybody. Hey, everybody, this is my friend from up north in Jersey, Lucifer. Lucifer, I'd like to meet you meet the pastor of the church here.
You know, it's interesting. There is a tale about the Jersey Devil.
Oh, yeah. There he is. Yeah. It's right there.
He's right there.
He's right there. Look at Matt coming in clutch. I love it. I love Matt coming in and dropping the little humor bombs here and there. It's great. So your original birth last name is Lopez. What's your nationality, man? If I can ask that. I've always wondered. I'm assuming it's some kind of Hispanic, correct?
Yeah, so I'm first generation American. So I was born here, but my mom was born in DR, Dominican Republic, and my father was born in Puerto Rico. But I did do my DNA test with Ancestry.com. Mm-hmm. And I found out that I'm only 10% Dominican and Puerto Rican. Okay. Like together. Like most of my blood is actually from Portugal, Spain, Italy, Europe, Africa, Asia. I'm very mixed.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said nationality. I meant ethnicity. Obviously, your nationality is American. Like, yeah, but that's cool, man. You're culture mutt. You got all kinds of bloodlines right there.
I love history. I love digging into my past, my family history. You know, I'm very into it. Like I wanted to figure out, you know, where I came from, and it turns out that Lopez is actually a slave name.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. Which is another reason why I don't like it, because there's a lot of Lopez's, and for good reason, because you know they were slaves. You know, like.
I wonder if the famous comedian George Lopez knows this about his last name. I feel like I don't know. Maybe who knows? So, can you speak any multiple languages? Can you speak Spanish or Portuguese and stuff like that, or anything else outside of that?
I speak fluent Spanish.
Okay.
And not just Dominican Spanish, but I speak Puerto Rican Spanish, Mexican Spanish, because you know there's words that they use in those in their own languages, because it's all Spanish, but they have different words for different things. Different words and different maybe enunciations. Yeah, enunciations, slangs. Right. It's kind of like maybe the English language, like how there's like Irish English and then like Scottish English. There's country English. Yeah, country English, Western English, stuff like that. Is that yeah. So it's like that, really. You know, my mom, you know, she's from Vietnam and stuff like that, and they are very discriminatory against, like, because they have different dialects of Vietnamese spoken, like probably about, I guess it goes on the hemisphere, so it's like 4 different dialects: is north, south, east, and west. Mm-hmm. And then, like, if somebody from up north comes down south and they're ordering food and stuff, and they say a certain word in that northern accent, like they get so much flack for it. They're like, "Oh, you idiot!" And like, it's crazy how like discriminatory they get just based on like the accents and stuff like that. But, yeah, I mean, Spanish people are the same way. Really? Yeah, they tend to be racist towards their own sometimes. Yeah, like that's what people don't realize, man. Racism is a very wide thing. Like even within their own cultures. Right. You know, my mom's people are very racist within each other. Right. You're from north, like you're a piece of crap. You say stuff weird. I don't know. It's interesting to me. It's a very, very interesting thing. I love your shirt, man. What is this shirt you're wearing? I like it. It's Savage. You know? And then it's got all these cool little things on the side of it. Is that a band or? No, it's just the shirt I found at Burlington Coat Factory. Oh, for real? Yeah. Oh, okay. Skulls and. I like it, man. Looks cool. Yeah, thanks. So, what's the? Tell people about your podcast, Spliff Talk. When are you going to start doing that again? By the way, man, what's up? Yeah, so you're on hiatus. I haven't done an episode in a while. I've had a lot of things going on, mostly because... So, wait, before I even get into that, let me just tell you very quickly about my show. So,
All right.
The show is called Spliff Talk. That's what I'm smoking right now, a spliff. For those of you who don't know what a spliff is a Jamaican tradition to have your joint half tobacco and half weed. So in this spliff, there's half tobacco and half weed. You know, it makes it last longer and it gives it a stronger hit. That's why people mostly do it. You know, and you can do the ratio. You don't have to do the ratio 50-50, but you know, I put a little bit more weed than I put tobacco. So everybody has a different preference. But the show is, you know, about weed, you know, how it influences people. I like talking to different people, business owners, hip hop artists, you know, creators, whoever. And, you know, we just sit on the show and talk over a joint. You know, we talk about life. We talk about personal stuff, just like on your show, what people wrestle with in their life, how they got to where they're at, you know, how weed and marijuana has influenced their life as well, you know, because the show is about smoking. And, you know, I like to get people's perspective on how marijuana influenced them, because I've only been smoking marijuana since I was 24. So other people, they've been smoking since they were 12, 13, 16, you know, crazy stories on my show of, you know, when they started smoking, the fact that it kind of, you know, changes the perspective on a lot of stigmas that, you know, weed influences your brain, kills brain cells, or makes you dumber. A lot of the people I talked to on my show were great students, really smart, intelligent people smoking weed when they were teenagers, you know, and it helped, and they all claimed it helped them because, you know, they had ADHD or anxiety or depression because they were having, you know, a tough childhood, or just, you know, a lot of family problems or personal things, you know. And that's what the show is about, is just connecting with people over a joint, smoking, just like what you would do at home with your friends, you know.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept. It's a cool, kind of almost like a gimmick. It's like with the hot ones. You ever see that, where they're eating the hot wings? He's asking them questions. Except I feel like you can get a better conversation out of someone who's stoned than someone whose mouth is on fire. Their mouth is just on fire, and you're talking about their childhood, and their eyes are running, and their nose. Like, how can you have? I mean, I love that show. Just so we're clear, but I'm just saying, like, as far as like a pure, crisp conversation, like, how can you really do that when someone's mouth is just on fire? But when you're smoking pot. Not that I would know, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't do that devil's weed. But
the devil's lettuce.
The devil's lettuce, right. But it, you know, it makes you more introspective. It gets you deep in your head, as long as you didn't get too high and you're like freaking out, having a panic attack or something like that.
And I love it because you get to see how weed affects people during the conversations. There's videos that, if you guys watch it, they may be an hour long, but you'll see how a person will start the conversation livid, and then like start doing weird, awkward, and uncomfortable, cringy things during my show, forget what they were at, talk about the most random thing that came to their head. You know, like it's there's fun. So many funny things that happen. There's so many emotional and touching moments as well. You know, it's a great dynamic.
Yeah. One thing I have to say, though, so I can be completely unbiased on this topic, and I'm a huge advocate for marijuana and pot in every single facet, recreationally, medicinally, all that stuff. But some people, a lot of people, you can use it as this emotional, psychological crutch where it doesn't become a good thing. It's almost like an alcoholic, right? There's nothing wrong with having drinks, getting drunk, getting buzzed, having a good time. But when you become an alcoholic and that's just all you do, I mean, your life is spiraling out of control. And a lot of people use pot as like this crutch to just escape. And that's probably not the best thing. What do you think about that?
I have to agree with you, because I have to admit that I did that for a long time. Okay. Before you ever met me. So I've been the reason why I haven't done my show in the past couple months is because I've been battling a lot of trauma and depression, you know? Okay. And there was people in my life that were triggering my trauma and depression. And so there was a time where I was smoking way too much, where I was unproductive, irritable. Like, it was just, you know, weed is great, but when you're doing it in an excessive amount, it'll just dumb you down. Like, it'll make you a sloth. You know, you don't want to do shit. You don't want to think about shit. You know, you're just sitting there and letting time pass you by. And before you know it, months go by and you haven't done anything with your life. And you're more depressed because you haven't done anything with your life.
Which is a crazy concept to think about, because like when you're high, like everything's slowed down. So those months should feel like years. Like you're just not doing anything, not being productive, not, you know, getting outside and making something happen with life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's so how did you get out of that dark cloud, man? Or are you even still in it?
It took up to, if I'm being honest, it was like ups and downs. So I got myself out of that phase, but it wasn't really completely gone, because even though I got out of that, I became more productive, started working on my music, got into the program where we met, you know, the media program.
Right.
You know, I started trying to do things. So when I was doing that program with you guys, that was me getting out of it. Right.
Okay.
You know, it was giving me something to do. And that's how I ended up coming up with the idea of Spliff Talk and starting the show, you know. And then what happened was that I had a lot of people involved. I got a lot of people involved into my show who were helping me, who I thought had my best interests in mind. And then out of nowhere, just one after the other, stab in the back, people showing their true colors, showing that they only have selfish intentions, you know, and it kind of just put me back into that dark circle for the past couple months. And I'm just recently, in the past couple weeks, snapping out of it.
Yeah, you know, you and me had a phone conversation maybe a month ago or something like that, maybe a little over a month ago. Remember that? And and we did the video call and stuff. And you actually, looking at you now, you look more healthy to me than you did when I did that video call with you like over a month ago. Seems like you just look healthier.
Yeah, hold on a second. Sorry, I'll put my phone on do not disturb so we don't get no interruptions.
Okay.
But no, I appreciate you saying that, because even though I don't, if I'm being honest, I know that I'm doing better, but I don't feel completely healthy yet. You know, I'm glad that I'm taking the compliment though. I really appreciate you saying that, because
then again, ladies and gentlemen, he might have just tried to get all pretty because he knew it wasn't going to be on camera.
Right.
So they got the hair slicked back.
You know, usually my hair is a mess. You know, I look like crazy Einstein on most days.
You look real suave, man. Rico Suave. Looks good. You got, how long are you gonna keep growing your hair out longer? Seeing your hair makes me so sad that I cut mine off. But I always go through this love-hate relationship with my hair.
I've lived with short hair most of my life. You know, I started growing my hair this long for the first time like 3 years ago. So, and then I cut it, and then this is the growth of I think almost 2 years. You know, so I'm definitely gonna keep letting it grow because I like my hair long. You know, it makes me feel more calm.
My friend Suzanne was saying there's a lot of science behind it. When you have like longer hair, you absorb more vitamin D from the sun, and there's also like, she was explaining something about electrical meridians or something that start at the scalp, and if your hair's longer, they attract more of that, which feeds in. I don't know exactly. I'd have to like go back and listen to that episode again. But she was telling me all that, because that was like when I had longer hair and I was debating on cutting it. She was like, "Don't cut it, not just because it looks good on you, but also because da 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 da." So yeah, man, it looks good.
Thanks.
It looks good, brah. So where are you at right now? Is this your Spliff Talk studio we're looking at?
No, it's my apartment.
So your apartment, you just have Spliff Talk on the wall.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. I'm gonna paint the wrestling Diaries on my condo wall when I get back. Like, hey, this is what's happening.
But it's because you know, after I had the falling out with the guys that I was working with, I decided that I wanted to start doing the show in my house. So I've been figuring that out.
Nice.
You know? And this is where I'm gonna basically restart my show again. You know, so I'm gonna have my guests come here to my apartment and interview them here until one day I get my own studio or something.
Nice. Now, the next thing I want to ask you about is you're a man of a multitude of talents and tastes for things in life. Obviously, we talked a little bit about numerology and astrology. That's something you're big into and you're good with. You've done a lot of research and a lot of reading and a lot of tests and stuff with people. And then also, you do music. You talked about that a little bit before. And then you also doing a podcast. Tell us about. I guess I'll ask you about astrology and numerology. How did you get into that, and where do you think you want to have that take you in your life exactly?
So the reason I got into astrology and numerology was because when I think I was 13, 14 years old. So around this time, I was a devout Christian because of my parents, and I met a few people who started like putting seeds in me of like expanding my mind, you know,
opening it.
Right. So I was very, very shy and I didn't know how to talk to girls. So I knew that I heard that astrology helps you learn about people's personalities. So I started studying astrology mostly because I wanted to. I'm such a dork. So it's like I need to calculate. I need to figure out a plan, a strategy. I can't just do something. I need to plan it. So I would read about certain signs, and then when I had a crush on a girl and I figured out what her birthday was, if I found it easier to talk to them because I could pick up on things and have conversations about it and show them that I knew a lot at the same time.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. That's why I was laughing, because it's when I kind of started. I mean, I'm definitely not. I didn't get into astrology the way you have and other people, but when I really started studying it, I was like, man, there's actually. I thought this was just a bunch of bullshit, but there's actually a lot of legit stuff in this, because I was like, oh, my ex-girlfriend, who was this sign, was not compatible with my sign, and this made a lot of sense because we got into it about these things, which I've just read about, and then this other girl I dated was compatible with me. We had great chemistry, and I was like, oh my gosh! And then I started going through the list of girls and romances that I had through the years, and like matching them up, and I mean, it was like almost like 100% accuracy as far as like compatibility based on that. Now, with me saying this, I should preface, I don't like hang my hat fully on astrology and stuff like that. I think that I've met people that are a certain sign that don't act like that at all. I do believe there's a scientific connection there, because I mean, if you're born at a certain point of time when like the sun is, or the earth is at a certain point around the sun, then like the electricity is different, the magnetism is different, and that can affect your brain waves. And this isn't like hoopla. This is actual science. Like, people can look this up. And so that can affect because your brain, this is where your personality comes from. So that can be affected by, I don't know, being born in just a different era. Like somebody born in the winter months and then somebody born in the summer months are going to act differently because their environments are different, right?
Yeah.
And so like, I definitely believe there's a lot of truth in it. At the end of the day, I don't hang my hat on it, but there's definitely a lot of connections, especially with personality traits. And I, after I started studying it, from that point forward, just like you, I was like, all right, who's this girl? Like, I wouldn't say anything about it. I'd find out their birthday. I'm like, okay, she's a blah, blah, blah. All right, let me see. I almost felt like it was cheating, It's like the cheat code in the video game, hoping you get up a level, give me some more life points.
I freaked out a lot of girls because of that.
Oh, because they were like, oh my gosh, Lucifer,
yeah.
you're like reading my mind. Oh my God, this guy, Lucifer, he like knows everything about me. I love him.
No, yeah, I freaked out a lot of girls because of that. Because see, you're right. Astrology is great for characteristics, but it's hard sometimes because not everybody falls under all those characteristics. But there is a science to it, and I understood that science, and that's why I was able to read people easier, because I knew what patterns would be different based off all the science of it, So I was a good guesser. Like, I would be able to like predict things and know things about them just based off like reading them.
Yeah. Now, have you ever came into a situation where you did that and you were like pretty wrong or completely wrong? Where you're like, oh, well, this one's one of those rare ones where it didn't match up. Have you came across something like that?
Yeah. And that was because at the time I was just going based off sun signs. Mm-hmm. And then I learned after that up that people are not just ruled by their sun signs. In fact, everyone has a little bit of everything because the alignments of the planets when you're born also dictate certain signs that you're going to have. So your sun sign may be, Capricorn, but your moon sign will be Leo, and your rising will be Cancer, and then your Venus is something else, your Mars is something else, and all those traits dictate different things about you, your body. For example, your sign from Mercury dictates how you think and communicate, So believe it or not, if I know what your Mercury is, I can tell how you're going to communicate and how you naturally think about things. And then numerology plays a part in it as well, because like I said, your name has powers. Letters have power because of the number of vibration that they have. So I can tell you, without knowing your astrology signs, I can tell you your personality off of your birthday, off of the vowels and the consonants in your name. And it'll be very, very accurate, more accurate sometimes in astrology.
Yeah, I remember when we were in our media school thing together, and then you were giving everybody in our class free readings and stuff on their astrology and numerology. And I remember when you did mine, we were talking and it was pretty fun. And I was thinking, I was like, first of all, it was really cool. It matched up with a lot of things about ways I feel about myself and I'm perceived by others. But then I was sitting there thinking when you were doing my little astrology, numerology add up, and I was like, even if I didn't like subscribe to this even at all, and I was just like, oh, I don't believe in this. I think it's silly. I was like, it's fun. Like, it's fun. Like he's asking me these questions and he's doing the numbers. I was like, it's a fun like thing. Like, yeah. And I was like, man, I feel like this guy's really got something special because he's really good at it. And when he's talking about it, it's very confident and he's cool and easygoing. I feel like he could really make something wild happen with this. So yeah, man, you still gotta get back into that, I think, because I think that could be some big bread and butter for you in the future. Yeah. Because you're so good. You're so good at it.
So yeah, like I agree and thank you. I really appreciate that. Like, you're not the only one that has told me that. It's just people don't understand that. So I'm an empath. So when I do these readings, I'm feeding off of your energy and it's draining for me because I have a lot of energy myself. So I have to be careful with how often I do it and to who. And I don't like the idea of doing that for money.
Okay.
Because I don't know how to price it.
Right.
To me, it's more about like, if I really want to help you and you really want the help, then I'll do the reading for you. And whatever you want to give me is whatever you want to give me in exchange, But, I just don't know how to price something like that because it takes a toll on me. And, it's just different. Like, there's people who do tarot readings and they all have like their prices and stuff like that. But what I do, it's using everything, so it's completely different. And so I wouldn't know how to make money.
I gotcha. Yeah, I gotcha. Have you ever thought about doing any kind of literature on it? Like maybe writing a book? I feel like you could write a book on it with the knowledge that you have of astrology and numerology. Write a book and get that out there.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not like excluding that idea. I would be more into like one-on-one teaching, maybe doing some videos on it.
Yeah.
Because honestly, the ability itself, it's individualistic. So everyone would have their own way of being able to tap into their intuition like that. So I can teach you the science of it, but putting it together, you have to figure that out for yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to my next question I was going to ask you is about your music endeavors, man. Where did that stem from? What do you got going on now? And what do you want to do with that? Where do you want that to take you in life?
So I've always been into music. since I was in church. I was a musician of my church because my mom was a singer, so I played piano and drums.
Oh, nice.
I would sing myself sometimes too, but nobody really ever, I was when I was being enlightened and waking up during my teenage life and asking questions about God and whether or not I really believe in all this. I was listening to like music my parents forbid me from listening to. This is when I started listening to Eminem, Linkin Park, so many other rock bands and hip hop artists behind my parents' back. And I've always loved that music and wanted to get into it, but like everybody was always making me feel like I couldn't, that I was some big sinner. So I didn't think about doing music until I tried so many different things that during that depressive period that I had, it hit me like an epiphany because I started writing a lot of poetry, and then people kept telling me you should try to make it into a song. So I actually tried to make it into a song, and I fell in love with how I did it, and I just kept practicing, and then I decided that I wanted to do music and record myself, write my own lyrics, and I have songs recorded and I have some songs on SoundCloud, but because of the falling out that I had with those guys a couple months ago, I had to stop pursuing music because I don't have funds to do it. And even though I know how to work Logic and mixing, it's very frustrating to be a lyricist and, a very good mixer. Because you're a very hard judge. You're a very hard judge of yourself when you're hearing your own vocals. So what I'm hearing, I'm a perfectionist. So it's like I'm going to be there for hours trying to see what's wrong with my vocals. I found it better to be with someone who's actually dedicated to that, but that costs money.
Yeah, sure. And plus it also ties into the concept of like you're trying to do too much. And when you do that, you spread yourself thinner. Right. So like some of your creativeness is not going to be as good. So like if you're having to mix it and do all the tech side, then you're not going to be focusing on much with your vocals and your lyrics and the way that you put this out there. And that can be detrimental sometimes to people.
Exactly. And being someone like me who, like you said, has multiple talents, I can only do so much in each category, and I can't master everything in that category. I'm only as good enough as I want to be, right? Because like you said, your creativity starts to like, be stagnant because you're putting too much focus into too many things in that category, So I found it easier to focus on my lyrics because it's easier for me to just focus on my lyrics and finding a very good beat. All I need is someone to listen to my lyrics and know how I want to mix it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I got my fingers crossed for you, man, that you can get into that. Sometimes, I had a guest on here who was talking. We were talking about progress, just in life in general, right? And she said something that I agreed with completely. She said progress is not linear, right? It doesn't always just go in a straight line. Progress is like you're going and then boom, you go off. It's like one of those like dynamic charts, for stats on things, stocks and like that. It just goes up and down. But if you get a good stock, even if it goes down, it's still overall still trending upwards. It's not linear, And so I feel like for you, maybe that's the general concept of your own progress. Right, you are this chart, and you are. If you could like step outside yourself and look at it, you would see that you're trending up on the up and up. You just have those dips, man. You dips in your stock, but eventually it's still hitting the top. It's still hitting the top.
Yeah,
so.
I believe strongly in success through failure. I'm still afraid to make mistakes. I'm still afraid to take risks, but sometimes I still take them because sometimes the only way that you meet the right person is through failing.
Oh yeah.
And so to me, I know that I'm progressive progressively, moving up, and I definitely agree with you. It's not linear, it's ups and downs, but still always going in a direction as long as you keep moving forward.
Yeah, as long as you keep aiming that way. I mean, the moment you stop aiming, then obviously it won't be trending that way. So that's just, you have to just kind of keep your head about yourself, even through all the stuff that you have to deal with. All right, man. So now I'm going to get, it's crazy the amount of time that passes when you're talking to somebody that you know and you're friends with. But I'm getting to the point of the show now where we try to take it a little bit deeper.
All right.
And I ask you, like, what you're wrestling with, bro? Like, what are the monsters under your bed and the demons hiding in your closet that you're fighting with right now, man?
All right. So my biggest demon is myself. And I say that because, so recently, after talking with my psychologist and doing a lot of self-reflecting and finally sitting down and listening to my son's mother about a lot of the mistakes that I made and trying to look at it from her perspective, I realized that all the demons from my childhood, the things that I kind of passively just pushed to the side for so many years, started to catch up with me, because as you get older, when you have certain diagnoses, for example, I recently found out that I had ADHD, that I've had it my whole life, and I never knew. I was never aware of it at all. But when I look at my childhood and everything that I did, it makes perfect sense, right? And then, understanding and being aware of what's affecting your mind and your limitations helps you understand your mistakes, But if you're not willing to face and yourself and tell yourself that there's something wrong with you, and the thing is like, it's not that there's something wrong with you and you should take it so negatively where like you're unforgivable, because that's what a lot of people do. They think that because there's something wrong with them, they're unforgivable, that they can't be loved, that they can't be understood. But how do you expect other people to understand you if you've never taken the time to understand yourself? To be able to understand yourself so well that you can control your emotions, you can control how you react, you can control how you perceive things, right? Because the problem is that when so many bad things happen to us throughout our lives, we get into this pity myself kind of phase, You start to pity yourself on everything, victimizing yourself on everything, blaming people, and maybe you don't blame people. Maybe you just blame yourself, but that's the problem. You're constantly blaming yourself. And so you're in this grave of pity, self-pity, and believe it or not, it's just as selfish as what the selfish people did to you.
Yeah.
Because by you pitying yourself, like I was doing to myself, I was pitying myself for so long, not wanting to let go of the things that happened to me, that I was taking away from everyone else. I was taking away from my son. I was taking away from his mother. I was taking away from people who would really appreciate my friendship, who would really appreciate my company if I just got myself out of this pity and started making better choices, because now I'm aware of my flaws. Now I'm aware on how to make them better, because it's all about habits. You get so used to being traumatized and bad things happening to you that's what you're always expecting.
Yeah, so then when something good happens, that's almost like a shock to the system, right?
And then
it's
and
like,
then
whoa.
And
no
then
way.
It's so good that you naturally, with prejudice, start looking for something wrong with it.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, well, this is good, but this can't be this, because this isn't how my life works. So where's the storm at? Where's that at? Right. And you're looking for that, and then you're not focusing on the prize right in front of you. Right. That's sad, man, because a lot of people walk through that. A lot of people walk through that in life, and that I think about that a lot. It makes me sad. I mean, I've dealt with that, maybe not to the degree that you have, but I've definitely dealt with that, and I know what it feels like. It's bitter. It's a very bitter cold, man.
Yeah,
very bitter cold.
That's what I was going through. I was I didn't realize that I was pitying myself so much that I was always in criticize mode. I was always looking for something wrong with any situation, with any friendship, with any relationship. And it was innocently, ignorantly, because I wasn't aware of the things that were going on with me mentally, and I was avoiding it for so long, you know? And I was thinking that I could do it by myself. That's another thing, that you think you can do it by yourself. You can't, because we're humans. We need attention. We need comfort. We need reassurance, you know? And as much as you don't like feeling needy, that's exactly why you're like that, because you were neglected, because people weren't there for you, because people didn't understand you, and therefore you're lacking all this attention that you've always wanted. And instead of embracing that and letting the pain be felt, you're just avoiding it and be like, no, I don't need anyone. I can do it by myself. But the problem is if you're not in control of yourself, you're going to convince yourself of more lies. You're going to convince yourself of more pity. You need someone else to give you a better perspective, someone who didn't grow up in all the bullshit you grew up in. And that's what I did. I decided to seek help, talk to my psychologist, and once I started becoming aware of these things and self-reflecting, I just started to make little changes, because that's what it starts with. You got to make little changes. Know yourself. If you're lazy, if you're a procrastinator, like I am, you got to know how to trick yourself. If if you can't control the mind to do what you want, make your body change your mind. By controlling your body and forcing it to move, forcing it to do things, you're helping your mind be convinced that you can actually achieve something.
Yeah. It's what is that quote? Oh man, what is it? What is it? Something about the way you move your body, and it like it affects like the way your mind works. And I forget what the quote was, man. I don't remember what it was, whatever. But yeah, this next question I'm going to ask, I feel like is perfect for you based on what you've said and what I know about you, because a lot of the issues that you have now, and it might not be, it's probably not all of them, I'm sure, but a big bulk of it, like if we did a pie chart, it'd probably be the majority of the pie is from your past, your upbringing, your childhood. You dealt with a lot of disconnect and volatility with family, and just feeling out of place, and trying to find yourself, and being harder just because of the environment you were in. Not that it was a bad environment necessarily, but it just wasn't your environment. It wasn't what helped you thrive. So this question, I feel like, is one of these questions that I just subconsciously made up for you and a skew of other people. But if we had, Matt's this tech genius over here, and he's working on this little thing, this telephone time machine, right? That'd be a good concept for a movie, don't you think so, Matt? Somebody makes a telephone time machine and they talk to themselves from the future, the past, or something. But we have this telephone time machine. We let you borrow it, and you can dial up at any point of in the history of life and all this stuff. But specifically for you, dialing yourself in the past that helped kind of define some of these demons that are biting at your ankles still. What Lucifer do you call, and what do you say to him when you pick it up and you call him? What do you say to him?
That's a very hard question to answer, because I don't believe in regrets.
Okay.
I believe that all mistakes happen for a reason, and they have to happen. Things can't go perfectly all the time. Life is perfectly imperfect.
Right.
And I love who I am today. And I know that I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't do the things that I did.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes your struggles are your salvation.
So maybe what I would do is call my 5-year-old self and tell them that everything's going to work out for the best.
Nice. He'd probably be freaking out like, what? Who is this?
Yeah.
That's good, man. That's good. And, he'd still go through all those trials, but he'd still have that in the back of his brain, like this loving hug. That's good, man. That's a good answer. I like that. I like that. That's a really good answer. The quote I was trying to think of earlier was motion creates emotion. That's what it was. You know, you hang your head up high and shoulders back and you breathe in deep.
Yeah.
Your brain's like, hey, this guy's feeling good, like a superhero.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question, man. Say you can close your eyes and you're like, I dream a genie, you like cross your arms and nod your head. And when you open your eyes, you can have the exact life that you dream of, the one that's in your dreams, except this time you don't wake up from the dream. This is reality. And the life that you want to live, to where it's your own personal heaven, and you have all the things that you love and you desire. And you could close your eyes right now and you open them again and you're living in that world. What does that world look like for Mr. Lucifer Constantine? I asked the hard questions, motherfucker. That's right, baby. All right, Wrestling Diaries.
All right. I wake up. To my right is my son's mother, and to my left is my second wife. I go out.
Keep going.
To the bathroom, get ready. I hear the kids playing, kids for both of them. They're all, excited to see me, happy. Walk to the front porch or maybe the yard, garden, whatever, for coffee. And be hearing about good reports about my students, because my ultimate goal is to have my own academy. And hearing about my students who graduated, accomplishing miraculous things around the world. And I'm just there, retired, spending time with my family, maybe some grandkids. And knowing that there's people around the world who have been influenced and impacted by what I've done and are following in my footsteps, but at the same time making their own life and legacy just like I did.
Damn, dude. That's awesome. Also, man, you're spoiled. You got a spoiled drink. No, I'm kidding. That's cool, man. I like that. Just got to make sure that his child's mother doesn't watch this episode.
No, me and my son's mother are in agreement when it comes to that.
Oh, you actually discuss that? Damn. I got to get that kind of... I'm going to get so much flack for this episode.
Yeah, you gotta know who you are.
That's cool. That's cool, man. If you want what you want, right? And if everybody's happy and nobody's getting hurt, right? That sounds like a good dream, though, man. Having your own academy and just being happy, watching your family run around. That's fantastic, dude. That's a good dream. I feel like a lot of people probably have that dream. Just the general sense of watching their family run around happy and stuff like that. But cool, man. Thanks for sharing that. Very beautiful. Very beautiful piece. In closing out, if anybody's listening to this and they can relate to you in some facet, right? They're like, oh yeah, I don't fit in with the way my family does things, and I I'm trying to search for something, and it's me fighting against me and dealing with my own head and my own heart, and then they find less than constructive extracurriculars to get into that don't really serve them. What do you say to that person about like what they're dealing with? Because they're like, man, I'm kind of dealing with the same thing. It's different, but it's the things he's talking about is similar to what I'm wrestling with. Except, I don't know about my exit strategy. I don't know about, when I get to see my horizon. What do you say to a person that's listening to right now? Maybe there's some young impressionable mind, or maybe they're an older person. Maybe they're a peer. What advice would you give them?
All right. So what I'm about to say, for those of you who are about to hear, like, you don't have to agree with. You can take it however you want. So when you decide that you're really tired of feeling that way, you're going to have to understand that you're still going to be alone. You're still going to feel like an outsider, even when you're trying to progress. But what you also have to be aware of is that you have to let go of the fear of being vulnerable, of being afraid of showing your weakness and letting someone know how you feel about something. And maybe you feel like you've done that already. But if that's the case, do you love yourself enough where you can move on and find new people, new things that make you happy? Do you love yourself enough to finally like just go after what you want? You know, or are you gonna just stay there? You know, it's really your choice, you know, because you have to embrace what's going on with yourself in order to make a change.
Amen. Amen. I like it. That's good, man. I hope you had fun on this episode, dude. I'm so glad I finally got you on the show, bro. It's been a long time coming. And I feel bad because like he's got the Spliff Talk. He's got a Matt, can you roll me a blunt real quick so I can oh, you only have Matt's only got crystal meth. Never mind. I can't. Oh man. But yeah, I hope you had fun, man. And thanks for sharing all these intimate details about your life, you know, with me and with people who end up listening to this and find out more personal things about you. I really appreciate you sharing a lot of that stuff, dude.
Thank you, bro. No, I really appreciate you having me on the show. I know you have asked me before, and I kind of wanted to do it in person, but you know,
yeah, because I think you were planning on trying to make a tour down south to visit me and then visit Jeff and make a nice little vacation of it.
Do that.
You should, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I felt like it was a long time coming. So, you know, I really appreciate the fact that you asked me again, you know, and I wasn't going to pass up on it this time. I wanted to do it, you know.
Well, I also felt like, you know, we had talked and you were dealing with, you were fighting with a lot of stuff. And I was like, I feel like I'm going to ask him again, not just because like, obviously I want to get him on the show, but I feel like he might even need it, you know, just to talk and kind of like air it out, just vent it out.
Yeah.
Just release, you know?
Yeah, I did need this. I really agree with that.
But yeah, man, I'd love to meet you in person, man. Give you a hug, hang out and chill and talk and smoke a brisket with you. some pork because we're down south and we barbecue and do that with you, you know? Right after church.
Yeah, and for those of you guys can check out my show. The first season is still on. What I'm planning to do is I'm going to end this season with compilation videos of all the episodes. For those of you who don't want to sit for hours watching them, I'm going to take all the videos, make short versions of them so you can get all the best parts. And then I'm going to start getting things ready for the second season and come with different things and, you know, a lot of weed.
Perfect. I'm going to post some links. I'm going to do the synopsis for this episode when it comes out. Yeah. So they can check that out, Spliff Talk, and see all that cool, all your cool creativeness. Man, thank you so much for being on the show, Lucifer. Much love, brother.
No problem, bro. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. I can't wait to do it again. Ladies and gentlemen, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, and a host of other platforms that do audio podcast. Leave us a review. It's very important. The reviews help build us up, and get the algorithm showing up in people's stuff so our content shows up. So it helps us grow, and it helps people listen to stories of other people that might inspire them or make them feel like they're not alone. I mean, that sounds cheesy, but I mean, this is a thing that's happened. Like, it's happened. So if it's cheesy, put it on a sandwich, open up a bottle of wine. My good friend Lucifer here talking about the things that he struggles with. You know, it's like that the lyric from that song by Bad Brains, Eye Against Eye. You know, you're fighting with yourself. That's like one of the biggest enemies. That's one of the biggest enemies that I fight with is me. Just fighting with me and trying to, you know, get out of my own way and stop like feeding myself my own shit. You know, and that's that sounds crude, but it's real. You know, don't let the things that confine you define you. And I feel like that's really important. As always, much love to everyone. What do you wrestle with, and how can you beat it? One love.